Waymo has officially entered its scaling phase, and this time they're actually entering a new country in Japan. They're going to Tokyo in 2025. This is really one of the biggest announcements that Waymo has made recently. Some of their more recent announcements moving into cities like Atlanta and Austin are really just extensions of what they've been doing previously. No real surprise that they're expanding in the US, but now moving internationally, it shows that there is a real plan to scale Waymo's business. I think eventually this will ultimately be spun off out of Alphabet. But until then, Alphabet is one of the leaders in autonomous driving and arguably the leader building out a business that could change the way we think about transportation. So I want to go through exactly what we learned about this big international move, how they're doing it, and what the challenges might be from a cost structure standpoint. I think that's the next thing that we have to think about with Waymo is, can they make this sustainable? Can they have their vehicles be low enough cost? Can the ongoing costs be reasonable so they can actually make some money with autonomous driving? But I'll get into all that today. My name is Travis Hoium. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content, and thanks to this video sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they'll give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. Now, this is the announcement on Monday that Waymo made, saying that they're going on a road trip to Tokyo. They're going to bring their autonomous vehicles to Tokyo, where the driver is going to learn to drive on the left side of the road, and new driving nuances associated with operating in one of the world's most densely populated urban environments. You might remember that Waymo really started in San Francisco, so they're really tackling a lot of the hardest places to drive in the world now moving into Tokyo. A couple of things I thought were interesting about this announcement. One is that they're going to be using the Jaguar I-Pace as the vehicle. Waymo has made a couple of announcements related to vehicles. They have a Zeekr vehicle that's manufactured in China. That was supposed to be their next generation vehicle. Now with 100% tariffs on Zeekr vehicles coming into the US, it looks like that's kind of put on hold. Looks like that's also impacting what they're going to be using in Tokyo as well. So this is more a legacy vehicle. The other announcement that they had is the Hyundai Ioniq 5 is going to be kind of their next generation vehicle. They're basically going to put their equipment on the Ioniq 5 coming right off of the production line. That was going to be for the US, potentially something that could make its way to Japan, but that's not going to be the case, at least early on in this announcement. They're going to be starting this early in 2025, so obviously they're ready to scale the Jaguar I-Pace at least a little bit more. And I'll get to how they're going to go through this process of actually getting these vehicles on the road in just a second. The other thing that is interesting is that they're partnering with Nihon Katsu, if I am saying that correctly. This is Tokyo's largest taxi company. This is the other part of the business model that is going to be interesting to see as they grow. Waymo really wants to be a technology company. They would love to be a company that is providing supply to the market and aggregating all of the demand. So all the people who want rides, all of the potential deliveries that are going to happen in Waymo vehicles, but they don't want to actually be an operator. And that is the piece that they're going to have to figure out. So they're testing a couple of things in the US. They're working with Uber. I believe that's both in Austin and Atlanta. So that's going to be launching next year. And there are different setups there. In some cases, Uber is actually operating the Waymo vehicles. So they're not providing the technology, but they're providing the riders, and they're actually cleaning vehicles, keeping them charged, doing all that kind of operating stuff. And in other cases, there's actually a partner like Move who is doing the operations of the vehicle, but they're not doing the ride sharing part of it. Uber is still at least a piece of that. So obviously, as they move around the world, they're going to have to figure out what the business model is going to be. So they're testing a bunch of different things. In this case, working with a taxi company. So I think that makes a lot of sense to try to scale in Tokyo. This adds to all the cities that they're already operating or planning to operate really soon in the US. Miami was their most recent announcement. That was the one that they're partnering with Move, again, using the Jaguar I-Pace. And this adds to Phoenix, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Austin, where they're already operating. So 150,000 trips per week. That could potentially 10x in 2025. So a lot of growth happening here. But what's going to happen when they get on the road in Tokyo? The first thing that they do is they actually map the whole area. So the first phase is going to be the Waymo driver. That's the vehicle that you see right here. They're actually going to be driving around with a safety driver in the vehicle, and they're just mapping the infrastructure. So there is GPS in the vehicles, but this is basically going to create a map so the vehicle knows exactly where it is, even if it doesn't have access to GPS. It can kind of recognize things, anticipate where it should be, knows where lane markers are, all the things that are built into things like Google Maps when you go driving today. From there, the perception system takes over and Waymo starts to actually drive the vehicle. So that what they're doing is they're predicting what every person, what every object is going to do. You can see they're representing vehicles here, people here. And when that vehicle's on the road, they're trying to anticipate what everyone's going to do so they can take the safest path. That's ultimately what you see here. And if you have watched Waymo videos in the vehicle, they'll actually show this path kind of adjust in real time as they're perceiving what objects are doing around them. And really what makes Waymo a little bit different from some of the other competitors, in particular Tesla, is that they're using 3 different sensors: LiDAR, cameras, and radar. That basically creates the technology stack. That's all the inputs that you're bringing in. Tesla is only bringing in information from cameras. So going to be a little bit more limited. LiDAR is going to give you a 3D view of the world, and radar is going to help at times of inclement weather. This is one of those things. Radar is really advancing really quickly. So it seems like cameras and radar are potentially something that some companies are using, is potentially something that companies like Mobileye are using to advance their technology in the future. But we'll see how all of this plays out. I think the redundancy is really the thing to know with Waymo. That's the way that they have built a safe vehicle in the Waymo driver, is by having redundancy with all these different sensors on the vehicle. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. So Waymo added a few cities this year in the US and is expanding in the cities that it's already operating. So wouldn't be surprised to go from 5 or 6 cities that they've already announced to more than a dozen, maybe even over 20 cities by the end of 2025. This is a really rapidly growing business that Waymo's building. And next year, I think we could see it really take the next step. The question that I have for the company going forward is going to be, how do you bring down the cost of each of these vehicles? We talked about that Zeekr vehicle. That was something that was supposed to be a little bit lower cost. Hyundai's vehicle, not going to be available till at least sometime in 2025. But they're going to have to get to the point where these vehicles don't cost $100,000, $200,000 to outfit. They've got to bring that cost down closer to $50,000. So is there going to be some sort of announcement that they're partnering with an OEM to actually build these in the manufacturing facility? I think that would be a huge step forward in lowering their cost structure. Something to think about. The other downside with Waymo is it's part of Alphabet. So Alphabet, obviously a massive tech company, I think it's trading at a pretty good value now. And this is one of the upsides that you get with Alphabet. Basically for free, you're getting the core business for a little over 20 times earnings today. But eventually, I think Waymo will ultimately be spun out, will be its own operating business, but they're obviously going to keep it under Alphabet for the foreseeable future and just fund the growth and operations of Waymo with the money that they get from the core business. Not a bad place for Waymo to be. And as an investor in Alphabet, this is one of the reasons that I own the stock. You get optionality with a business like this and all the potential disruption coming from Waymo. But let me know what you think of Waymo's announcement that they're going international. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next time.